I'm Erica Schiavelli. I'm the Deputy Executive Director here at the Group Insurance Commission. And we're here today for the CMS coordinator training around the reduction of the waiting period project, which is going to be effective July 1. So you can move to the next slide, please, Leslie. Great. So as I mentioned, I'm Erica Schiavelli. I'm the Deputy Executive Director here at the GIC. We're joined today by a number of folks, both from MTX, who's been helping us get this project completed, as well as folks from the GIC and our partners at ANFIT. So you'll first hear from Chuck O'Brien on the GIC team, and you'll also hear potentially in our question and answer portion from Andrew Stern, General Counsel, Donna Wortman, Paul Murphy, Shane O'Brien, Christina Geary. We also have Alex Everett from MTX and Maureen Quinn also from the GIC. Imran will be presenting some demonstrations from the MTX side. So you'll hear from him after Chuck, and then we'll come back to questions and answers after. So let me give you a more thorough rundown of that agenda if you want to flip to the next slide. Great. So we just did our introductions. We'll go through a review of the rule change coming up and then some key critical items to note. We'll switch over to Chuck for the Magic demo, then to Imran for registration and portal demo. We'll go back to Chuck for resources, and then we'll do a Q&A. So you can move to the next slide, please. So speaking of Q&A, you will see down at the bottom of your screen, there's a Q&A button, and you can click that button and you can ask questions at any time during the presentation. A member of our team will answer it in writing in the Q&A function, or they'll mark it to answer live at the end of the session. If you have any questions that are not related to the reduced waiting period project, we will not be answering them today, but you can reach out to us via the other forms of contact here on the slide to get those questions answered. We've got a lot to cover today, and we really want to make sure we're focusing in on the reduction of waiting period project. So again, you can ask those questions at any time in the Q&A function, and a member of our team will jump in, try to answer them for you, and then if they mark them to answer live, it's a question that's pertinent to everyone, and so we'll take them up live at the end. Next slide. Great. So we can jump right into the rule change, and I will try to keep my part brief so that we can really focus on the technical changes and information that you'll all need. Next slide. So as many of you are aware, last year around this time, the legislature mandated that the GIC reduce the waiting period for GIC benefits for all eligible new hires. So this is something that the GIC had actually been working on for some time before the legislature mandated this change. And that mandate from the legislature really gave us the momentum we needed across state government to be able to do this work. So you'll see an excerpt from the budget that clearly explains what the new rule is. So essentially, if you are someone who starts on the 1st of the month, your effective date of hire is the 1st of the month, your benefits will also be effective that day on the 1st of the month. If you start any other day other than the 1st of the month, your benefits will be effective on the 1st of the following month. So if you start on July 1st, your benefits will be effective July 1st. If you start on July 15th, your benefits will be effective August 1st. If you start on August 15th, your benefits will be effective September 1st, etc. So this change goes into effect on July 1st, 2024. More on that later. That's kind of a wonky, important date for us to remember. And then while we were getting prepared to implement this change, the GIC, in partnership with Administration and Finance and the IT Department at Administration and Finance, we went through a really thorough assessment process with our partners at MTX to determine our best path forward. And what we learned was that our most responsible, wisest path forward was to leverage the systems that we already had in place for a few reasons. One, to limit disruption to folks like yourselves as much as possible, and then also to save time and money and using the systems that we've already got. At the end of the day, the path forward that we came up with will really accomplish the main goal, which is to eliminate most gaps in coverage for many of our new hires. Next slide, please. Great. So this is just an overview quickly of where we are currently as a Commonwealth. We're currently in this green slice, as you can see here. A small amount of states still have a 60 or more day waiting period for their state employee plan offerings. Once we implement this change, we'll move into the blue slice with the majority of other states having a first of the next month effective date for benefits. So again, these are for the majority of state employee plan offerings across the country. Next slide. Great. So as I like to say, every time I come across this slide, this is my favorite. I think that it does a really excellent job of showing the big change that this is going to make for folks. So you can see in the text at the very top that currently the average waiting period is 73 days. And once we implement this change, the average waiting period will drop to about 15 days. And that represents a reduction of about nearly 80%. Which again will eliminate potential gaps in coverage for many of newly hired employees. So the table you see below, the white half of the table that says current, you can see that the percentages represent folks who were waiting that period of time. And we have a lot of folks in the 80 to 90 day range. So what we decided to do is we wanted to see what those numbers would look like if we had applied the new rule, the reduced waiting period rule, to the years 2020 to 2023. And you can see if we had applied hypothetically that the reduced waiting period to the years 2020 to 2023, you can see the drastic difference, the drop in the waiting period that folks would experience. Next slide, please. Great. So now that we know a little bit about the rule change itself and why we're here, I wanted to point out some critical items to really keep in mind at the outset of this presentation, and note that we'll get into further detail about many of them later, but really want to keep these top of mind for you all. Next slide. Great. So this one, I want to stress that anyone who is hired before July 1st, 2024 will still be subject to the 60-day minimum waiting period, and there will be no exceptions granted for that. Anyone hired on July 1st or later will be eligible for the reduced waiting period. So I mentioned earlier on that the July 1st date, the effective date, is a little bit, I think I used the word wonky. The reason why it's wonky here, July 1st of this year it falls on a Monday. Now, typically we understand that an effective date of hire for HRCMS purposes usually would be on that Sunday prior. For this case, if you're hiring around that time, we need folks to use July 1, that Monday, as the effective date. If you use June 30th as the effective date, that person will still be subject to the 60-day minimum waiting period. So they must have an effective date of July 1st if they are starting that week. So just please keep that in mind. And another thing to note is that members will still have 21 days to elect their benefits. That will not change. Next slide. Oh, actually, if you could jump back, sorry, you can leave it on this slide. The calendar below just demonstrates if you have someone who's starting on June 30th, sorry, if you could go back to the calendar slide. Thank you. If you have someone who starts on June 30th, you can see on this calendar here, if they start on June 30th, they will be waiting until September 1st for their benefits to kick in. If you start them on the July 1st date, their benefits will be effective that day. If they start anytime after July 1st, between the 1st and the 31st, their benefits will start on August 1st. So it's really important that, especially for folks being hired around this time, that we're mindful of that anyone hired before July 1st will still be subject to the 60-day minimum waiting period. I don't think I can say that enough. Next slide, please. Great. So another bit of change that we want to make sure we highlight is that new hire information should be entered into HR CMS on or before the date of hire. Now, we know that this isn't currently best practice, but we have been working with our partners at the Comptroller's Office and at HRD to really streamline our efforts to this end. So when you enter new hire information on or before the date of hire, that will trigger a registration email from the MyGIC link portal on that person's effective date of hire. They'll get that email within 48 hours of their hire date. And that registration email will be sent to the email address that the employee provides to you, the GIC coordinator, and can be a personal or business email. It's really important that we get accurate emails for folks so that way they can get this registration email and begin to make their elections and review their options swiftly. Failing to get the email address and entering the information into HRCMS in a timely manner will delay the registration email and then will delay the members' access to making those benefit decisions. So it's really important that we get their information, their accurate information, into HRCMS on or before the date of hire. Next slide. Also, in an effort to speed up our process for members, for newly hired employees, we're increasing at the GIC our frequency of file transfers, so that way members can be onboarded with their carriers faster. Carriers will now be providing a welcome email, and this is another critical reason why we need accurate emails from newly hired employees entered into HRCMS and Magic. Carriers are going to issue membership cards immediately, and so members will have the information they need faster. Next slide. Great. So here's a couple of items to note to prepare for the change, some of which we've already talked about. So the first is enter all that new hire information into HRCMS on or before the date of hire. We'd really like folks to encourage new hires to exclusively use the MyGIC link portal rather than online forms or paper, and collect accurate email addresses. We'll talk more about billing later, but we want to make sure that you are informing new hires informing new hires to expect a bill for their premiums owed for that first month, and certainly reinforce the importance of paying those bills on time, as non-payment will result in termination of insurance, and they won't be able to re-enroll until the next annual enrollment cycle. That is something that is in place today. That's not new, but we want to make sure that we're highlighting that for new hires. Share this information with the appropriate personnel in your agencies. We will be sending out a PDF of these slides, as well as the recording of this session, so that you can review it in your own time as well. And you can share that with anyone, again, in your agency as part of the onboarding and hiring processes. And then lastly, GIC is working to update regulations and issuing an administrative bulletin with further guidance on this. We just had the regulations approved at our last meeting, and so we're moving forward with the promulgation process, which will be effective July 1st, 2024. And the administrative bulletin will be available before then as well. Next slide. Great. So this is where I turn it over to Chuck. If you have any questions about my portion of the presentation, please feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll either answer them right now or we will save them for our Q&A session later. Thank you. Go ahead, Chuck.
Thank you, Erica. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to show you some of the features in Magic for the reduced waiting period implementation for new hires. To start, we're going to show you how to verify a new hire in the Magic system. So if we go to the next slide, please. To begin, you'll need to be signed into the Magic system. The GIC receives new hire transactions nightly from CMS and UMass payroll systems. To verify the new hire's account in Magic, please do the following. Navigate to the search page. On the search page, you will need to enter either the new hire Social Security number, employee ID, or reference number into the insured GIC ID field. Once you enter this information, you'll click the search button down the bottom. The new hire's account will be displayed to you. And could you go to the next slide, please? Here, the new hire's account is displayed to you. To note, the reference number is created automatically on a new account. The reference number can be used in the future to search for this member. Go to the next slide, please. On the new hires account, you'll be able to see all the information that was provided by CMS. You will need to verify the new hire has an email address listed on their account. The welcome registration email from my GIC Link Benefits portal will be sent to the preferred email address that is listed. If a preferred email address is not listed, the welcome registration email will be sent to the home email address. If no home email address is listed, then the email will be sent to the work email address. Once the member has received the welcome registration email and completed registering for the My GIC Link Benefits portal, the field portal registered will update to yes. Go to the next slide, please. If a new hire does not have an email address on their Magic account, you can add the email address by clicking the Edit Phone/Email hyperlink at the top of the page. Sorry, to go back one slide. So here we see up the top of the page is the Edit Phone/Email address for a member that does not have an email address listed. And so if we click that, could we please go to the next slide? You'll be brought to a new screen where you can enter the email address into the email fields. Once you have entered the email address, you'll need to click the Submit button down the bottom. Go to the next slide. You'll be able to confirm the email address was saved by viewing the email fields on the member's account, and the welcome registration email will be sent out within 24 to 48 hours of this email address being added to the account. Okay. And so thank you, everyone. That concludes the Magic demo for verifying the new hire. Next, Imran is going to show you a demo of the My GIC Link Benefits portal.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. For this section, I'll go ahead and share my screen so we can take a look at our member portal. For this section, we're going to take a look at the registration page. And in order for us to register, we'll receive an email, and I'll go to showcase that. Before I do begin, I want to make sure we have a disclaimer that the information that we're looking at during this part of the training is all training data. So it's all going to be fake data. First thing you'll notice, the name is Peter Parker. Once again, it's all fake data. So here, we'll receive an email from the MyGIC Link member in order for us to enroll for GIC benefits. In the email, we'll receive an important message stating we have 21 days of the new hire date to enroll. We'll have the portal link, we'll have the email to register, and we'll also have a PIN number for us to complete our registration. To begin, let's go ahead and click on the portal link to self-register. In the registration page, we'll begin by entering our information. So once again, I'll go ahead and enter my first name, my last name, and my email address, followed by the birth date. We can use the calendar, or we can just go ahead and enter it. I'll enter my last four of my social, and then we'll enter the PIN number that was on our email. We'll finish up the registration by creating a password. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit the register button for us to continue. When I do click on register, I'll receive a verification code through email. And all I need to do is go to my email, and I'll need to copy the verification code. And when I go back to the registration page, I'll simply enter it there, and I'll click on confirm to log in. Now we're on the home page. So we registered. Now we're going to take a look at the portal demo. On this section, I'm going to showcase to you how to navigate to resources, as well as a new hire enrollment application. So we're going to take a look at navigating to some resources that includes our benefit guides, tools, as well as additional resources that are here for you. And then we're going to navigate to the enrollment application. I'm going to showcase the Go button, as well as the new hire tile, and how those have the same information in order for us to go to the application there. Once in the application, I'm going to show us two scenarios that have to do with our effective date based on when we were hired. For the first scenario, we're also going to cover the documents required before submitting application, as well as the health attestation. Once we're done with the two scenarios, we'll take a look at the View and Pay Bills section and how to navigate to those. So let's go ahead and go to the resources navigation. For this section, since I've already logged in, I have some important notifications that I can look at. The first one is going to be about the 21 days I have to submit my enrollment benefits. And because for this scenario, I was hired on July 1st, it tells me I have until July 21st to submit my new hire GIC benefits. You also have some other notifications you can look at there as well. Under my benefit quick links, I have the GIC benefit guides. The GIC benefit guides are resources to help you make informed decisions about your GIC benefits. Let's go ahead and click on that. And once I do, I can see I have employee guides that I can take a look at. And each one of these, I can simply go to one of the tiles. And then I have a button called View Details. Once I select View Details, I'll be redirected to the mass.gov page where I can read about my benefit guides. Let's go back to our portal. And now I'm going to go back to my homepage. For this next section, our next resource is going to be the plan comparison tool. This tool is going to help us compare different plans at a glance. Once we select the plan comparison tool tile, we'll choose the GIC benefit options that we want to compare. Today, I'm going to select health. And once I'm on the health compare plans page, I'll be able to select up to three plans so I can compare them side by side. Then all I need to do is click on Compare Now. Now that I've done that, I can see the product details of the three health plans I've selected. And we can scroll down, we can see all the information. And at the bottom, we do see a link that helps us see the details to see the plan schedule at benefits. Once I scroll back up, I do also have the option to start over by clicking on this link here. So once I click to start over, it'll take me back to the Compare Plans page. Let's go back to our homepage. Now I'm going to show you a list of additional resources. These are going to be additional videos as well as user guides that we can take a look at. Once I select View All Resources, I can view all the short videos as well as user guides that are available to me. We will have additional resources for online applications. So we will have a user guide as well as a training video for HR CMS. Once back in my homepage, we'll go to our next section. Now I'm going to showcase to us how to navigate to our application, and we're going to complete an application as well. For this first scenario, as I mentioned earlier, I was hired on July 1st, so my effective date for my benefits will be auto-populated to the 1st of July. All this means is, as an employee, if I was hired on the 1st of the month, my effective date for my benefits will be populated on the 1st of the month. And once again, I'll also showcase the dependents and how to upload documents for them, as well as the health attestation. So let's go back to our portal and let's navigate to how we can go to our application. So the first thing that we see is the Enroll Today, as well as the Benefit Quick Links New Hire tile. If I were to click on Go or the New Hire information, I'll be able to see the same information for the New Hire application. Now that I've clicked on Go, I can see I still have the 21 days. I can see the benefits that I'm eligible for, as well as important information for me to read through. Now let's check the New Hire information tile as well. And as you can see, they're both the same. I can see the 21 days, my health benefit, basic information here, as well as important information that I can read through. From here, I can go ahead and click on Start Now on each of them, and it'll take me to my enrollment application. Now that we're on the application itself, let's begin. And once again, I just want to remind everyone, this is all going to be testing data, and it's all fake data. So on the left-hand side, we have our navigations that we can go through, as well as the, in the middle, the application itself. Once I've read through the Getting Started page and seeing all the benefits that I'm eligible for, I also have important links that I can click on to get further information. From here, let's answer yes to the first question and click Next to continue. Now that we're on the personal information, I'll simply click yes. And from there, I can click Save and Next to continue. Now I'm on the plan selection page. This is where we'll be able to select a life insurance. And as you can see, my effective date is pre-populated for the 1st of July. Once again, because I was hired on July 1st, my effective date will be on July 1st. Now that means again, is if I was hired on the 1st of the month, my effective date will auto-populate to the 1st of the month. For the next question, I'll answer no. And then now I'll take you how to see beneficiaries by selecting yes here. And I'll simply add a beneficiary by clicking on Add Beneficiary. Then I'll select the type of beneficiary here. Let's enter the name and information, and I'll click Add. Now I have an additional step for beneficiaries I need to complete, which is the percentage. I want to make sure that I have allocated 100% to any number of the beneficiaries I entered. Because I entered one beneficiary, I'll go ahead and add the 100% to my spouse, Mary Jane. And then we have an additional question that says, do you want to add a conjugate beneficiary? And this is an optional section here that we can choose yes or no. And I'm going to go ahead and select no for this one. Then I'll click Save and Next to continue. Now we're on the health plans selection. Here, I'll go ahead and select a health plan. If I wanted more detail on the health plans, I'll go ahead and click on View Details. And I'm able to see important links and as well as copay and deductibles. One thing to note as well, the health plans that are available on your application are based on the zip code that you are located in. So now that I've selected my health plan, I can once again see my effective date. We'll come back to the health plan as we want to also talk about the health attestation once we get to review and submit. For now, let's go ahead and talk about the dependents and the documents that are required for them. So for the question, what kind of plan would you like to enroll in? I'll select family. When I scroll down, I can see under my health plan dependents, I have a link that says, click here for required document information. Once I click on this link, I'll be redirected to the mass.gov site, and I'm able to read through the required documents for GIC coverages based on the dependent relationship. Now that I'm back on the application, I'll click on Add Dependent. And here I'll add my dependent information and I'll click Add. From here, let's go ahead and continue. I'll click Save and Next. We have some additional plans we can select through. The next one is being dental and vision. I'll go ahead and select the plan here. And for this one, I'll choose individual for us to continue. Once I click Save and Next, I'll be able to take a look at the long-term disability plan. For this one, we'll go ahead and choose opt out for long-term disability. Once I click Save and Next, I'll be in the Documents section. For this section, because I have a dependent, I am required to upload a document. If I try to click Save and Next, you'll see that I do have an error message letting me know that I'm not able to continue. So what we need to do from here is we'll need to upload documents for the specific dependent relationship type. And if you need to see what kind of documents are required, under the document requirements, we can see the relationship as well as the document type that is needed. So now I'm going to click on View and Upload. And then I'm going to click on Upload Files. And because this is a marriage relationship, I'll need to, a spouse relationship, I'll need to upload a marriage certificate. And then you will see a green check mark, also a green banner, stating that I have uploaded my document. And now this time, when I click Save and Next, I'm able to continue to the Review and Submit page. In the Review and Submit page, once I've looked at all of the information, I can now view my attestation messages. You'll notice that we have two attestation messages here. The first one is related to your health attestation. Here, as a member, we are certifying that we've checked that our healthcare provider is in the network. And then for the second attestation, we are certifying the plans that we've selected are binding. Now for this next section, I'll showcase what happens if I were to not choose a health plan. So as of right now, we do see the health attestation. I'm going to go back to our plan selection. We land on the life insurance, but we'll go ahead and click Save and Next to go to health. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and choose opt out of health insurance. Now that I've done that, I've opted out of health insurance. We're going to click Save and Next and continue until we go back to the Review and Submit. Now that I'm in the Review and Submit page, I'll scroll down. And as you can see, under the attestation, the health attestation that was there earlier is no longer there. Now we just see the attestation certifying that we understand the plans we've selected are binding. So it's just going to be right here. Now, all I'm going to do is complete my application. I'll enter that I certify that I read the acknowledge and acknowledge the attestation above. I'll enter my full name, and then I'll click Submit. and confirm my submission. And now we've completed our application. And that was going to be our first scenario. For this next scenario, we're going to take a look at, as a member, I was hired on July 15th, so my effective date for my benefits will be auto-populated to the 1st of August. So all this means is that as a member, if we were hired any other day except for the 1st of the month, our effective dates for our benefits will be populated on the 1st of the following month. So let's go back into our portal. And I'm going to showcase that to us here. We'll go back to our homepage, and you'll notice under My Notifications, I have a message that says you have until August 5th to submit your new hire enrollment for GIC benefits. Once again, because I was hired on July 15th, I have 21 days, August 5th, to submit my new hire enrollment for GIC benefits. Now, let's go ahead and go to our application. I'll select Go, and I'll click Start Now for us to continue. We see our application here. We'll just go ahead and get started. Select Yes to continue. Same thing with personal information. We'll go ahead and select Yes and continue. Now, for our life insurance, I'm going to go ahead and select a plan. And you can see our effective date is now August 1st. Once again, because I was hired on the 15th of July, I can see that my effective date has rolled over to the following month. It's going to be August 1st. Let's go ahead and continue with our application. This time I'll select No to both beneficiaries and optional life insurance. And for this health plan, I'll showcase one more time our effective date. Once I select a health plan, I'll scroll down and I can see my effective date is August 1st. Once again, if a member was hired on any day except for the 1st of the month, their effective date will roll over to the following 1st of the month. And now all I'm going to do is, we're not going to complete the application since we've already seen it. Let's go ahead and click Save and Exit. And then we'll land on our home page. Now we can see we still have my application is still in progress. And you'll notice I still have 21 days for my hire date to complete this application. So I'll need to continue the application and make sure it is complete before August 5th. And all I need to do to complete it is click on Continue Application so I can continue submitting. Okay. For this next section, we're going to take a look at the View and Pay Bills. For this section, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to navigate to those. In order for us to take a look at this, I'll be logging in as a different member because it's important to note when an email is sent, an email will be sent that says it's an important message, letting you know that you'll need to log in to your MyGIS link portal to see your bill in the portal itself. So once again, we'll receive an email that says you have an important message to view on our member portal. And once we log into the member portal, we'll be able to see our bill. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and go to our login page, and we'll be able to log in. The reason I'm logging in as a different member, because it's important to note, we will not receive a bill as soon as we've enrolled for our benefits. This bill will come in later and we'll be able to see it once we receive the email that you have an important message. So let's go ahead and log in. This time I'll use a different member. If you know Tony Stark, he's always the one with the money for the Avengers. So he'll be able to pay our bill today. When I click on login, I'll need to enter my verification code through email, and I'll be able to click on confirm. And once I do, I'm logged in. And on my home page, under my notifications, I can see that I have an important message here as well. Here it says a bill for premiums due for your GIC benefits has been issued. Please click on this link or select the View and Pay Bill below to see your billing invoice. So once again, I can either click on the View and Pay Bill under my notifications, or I can select View and Pay Bills under the Benefit Quick Links. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and click on View and Pay Bills. And now we are able to navigate to the View Bill and Pay Bill. You'll see the two tabs on the left. Right now, we're going to focus on View Bills. And as you can see, we have two important messages on our View Bills section. The first one is going to say, please note, this is your current bill. Any payments made will be visible on your next bill. And the second one says, total due in full by due date or your GIC benefits will be terminated. Please note, the bill we're taking a look at now is going to be a first notice bill. There will also be a final notice bill with different messaging as well. Right underneath, we also have the important information section. We'll be able to read through that to not disregard our invoice. Next, let's take a look at how to pay our bill. We'll go into the Pay Bills tab. And once we're on the Pay Bills tab, we can see the GIC member payment section. And here, you'll be able to fill out your information, your payment information, and once you pay, you'll be able to view your receipt. So that would conclude the portal demo section. I'll hand it off to Chuck for the next section.
Thank you, Imran. I'm sorry, I think Erica, is this your part?
What I think, Chuck,
This is Paul.
I
Oh,
can take
sorry.
this when I saw it, so you're next. So, good morning, everyone. What I wanted to demonstrate here is I see a lot of questions regarding the bills, the invoice, and payroll deductions for members. So we thought we'd give you some key information on how these deductions in bills work for the overall GIC process, not just with the new hires. So first of all, if a member enrolls through the portal, the coverage will go into our system, Magic, and the carrier will be notified. But GIC only issues bills once a month. So the member will not be able to view any bill in the portal at the time of enrollment. When the bill is generated, GIC will send an email to the employee notifying them that they have a message in the portal. When they log into the portal, the message will say that you can view and pay your bill. So we want to make that clear. The first enrollment does not generate a bill automatically in the portal to the member. When GIC does issue a bill, it says the member has 60 days to pay a bill. What we mean by that is a first notice will go out with the due date later in the month. So for instance, it'll go out around August 2nd, due August 26th. If the member doesn't pay, a second notice will go out at the beginning of September with a due date of, for example, September 26th. If GIC does not receive payment by the due date on the second bill, a termination notice will be issued. So we just want to make that clear. Members do have 60 days, but we encourage people to pay the first notice. If they don't, they're going to get a second notice. That second notice, if we don't get the payment, will generate a termination. So it's important to let people know 2 notices go out and then a termination will go out. We're asking coordinators if they could let employees know that they're going to receive a bill. Most employees in the HRCMS and UMass payroll system will receive a bill for their premiums for their coverage elections. So HRCMS in the UMass payroll system does not have the ability to collect arrears payments. There is no mechanism for GIC to collect those premiums that are owed for previous coverage in the payroll system. GIC can only deduct the current month's premiums from an employee's paycheck. That is why bills are issued to the employee. So it's important to let people know that this will not come out of their paycheck. Any retroactive coverage or payments or benefit elections will be billed. No deductions come out. We encourage people to make elections as soon as possible. That way we can start payroll deductions. So for instance, if someone is hired on July 2nd and they make their benefit elections within a couple of days, it is possible because the GIC premiums are deducted twice a month. The member will have a deduction for the second half of the July premium, which pays for August. If the member takes the entire 21 days to elect their benefits, most likely that employee has missed 2 payroll deductions in July to pay for the August premium. So the member will receive a bill at the beginning of August for all of their July premium, and that the deductions in August will be for their September premium. So it's important to note the sooner they make their elections, it's possible to get a deduction out of the payroll system. But in most cases, someone is either going to miss 1 or 2 payroll deductions. In the example where someone is effective July 1st, there is no deductions in June because the employee did not work. If the employee takes 21 days to make their elections in July, that employee at the beginning of August is going to receive a bill for all of their July premium, as well as all of their August premiums. They are going to owe 2 months of premiums. In August, the deductions that start from their paycheck pay for the September premium. So it's really important to let people know that they are most likely going to get a bill for their premiums. What we have done to help with this in the Magic system, we have put under the Help tab a deduction schedule for GIC benefits. So you will see that the deduction cycle, the paychecks, and the GIC cutoff for the paychecks to get a deduction from the member's paycheck. The calendar also notes what will be billed to the employee for the premium month. So I would encourage people to take a look at this new deduction cycle and keep in mind that it's important to note that the GIC deductions are different than the paycheck deductions. For instance, if we wanted to get a paycheck deduction from an employee's paycheck that's coming out this Friday, GIC's cutoff is the week before. So in order for us to get a deduction from this week's paycheck, we would have had to send the information to the payroll system last Friday. So there is a week arrears processing for GIC. So take a look at the calendar. You'll see the deduction schedule, and you'll see GIC cutoff schedule is the week before. If the member doesn't meet that deduction, they will most likely get a bill for that missed premium. So this is what we're asking people to let them know: the bill has to be paid. They do have 60 days to pay the bill, first notice, second notice, but a termination notice will be issued, and the member will only be allowed to reinstate benefits during the next annual enrollment or with the qualifying event. So I think, unless we have some questions we'll address after, there is some information that Chuck is going to present that help identify some people who receive a bill, that there are going to be some reports out there. So I'll turn it over to Chuck on the resource.
Thank you, Paul. Could we go to the next slide, please? So with the reduced waiting period implementation, there are some resources available to assist coordinators within the Magic system. From the Magic homepage, you can go to the Reports section by clicking Reports in the menu bar. Go to the next slide. Once in the Reports section, you'll need to click the drop-down arrow. Go to the next slide. From here, you'll see a list of all the reports available to you. For now, we're going to be showing the monthly agency insured report. So if we go to the next slide. So to generate the monthly agency insured report, in the menu bar, you'll need to select the as of date you would like to view, and then click View Report on the right-hand side. The report will generate below, and you can view the detailed information. You'll also be able to save and export this report by using the export feature in the menu bar. The agency insured report provides coordinators with information for the specific month they had selected. The premiums due column shows the amount an employee owes for their coverages each month. The premiums deducted column shows the amount that was deducted from an employee's payroll check. And if there's a balance owed or a refund due, it will be displayed in the last column. Balances owed are listed in black, and refunds due to the employee are listed in red. If we go to the next slide. Additionally, if we go back to the report section from the Magic homepage, go to the next slide, please, and use the same drop-down arrow to get back to the reports. We've added a new report titled New Hires Without Email Address. We go to the next one. So for this report, you'll need to select your agency in the drop-down and click View Report again. You can save and export this report as well. This report will provide you with a list of new hires that do not have email addresses listed on their Magic account. So this report can be used to help assist with those new hires that are in Magic and get an email address listed on their Magic account for the welcome registration email to go to them. And now finally, if we go to the next slide. So finally, within Magic, on the right-hand side of the screen, please be sure to check the Magic Help tab, as these guides and other guides will be added here in the future. And if we go to the next slide. Additional resources are also available on the GIC's website at mass.gov/GIC. Once on the website, if a coordinator clicks the GIC Coordinator Resource tile, then you'll need to select the My GIC Link toolkit in the list of options. And here you'll have to select your agency type in the table of contents section, which for today is HRCMS and UMass agencies. There are instructions and sample documents in the top section, and in the bottom section, sample videos. Highlighting one of these examples on the next slide is a registration email a new hire would receive to register for the My GIC Link benefits portal for HRCMS and UMass agencies. And on the next slide, we have a sample of the employee acknowledgement form. Coordinators should provide this form to new hires. If a new hire does not receive a welcome registration email within 10 days of their hire date, the new hire needs to contact their agency benefits coordinator to let them know. And then lastly, if we go back to the GIC coordinator section on the mass.gov page, coordinators can click the section titled New Hire Benefits Law effective July 1st, 2024. Then they will need to select their agency type, HR, CMS, and UMS coordinators. In this section, coordinators will find up-to-date information about the reduced waiting period implementation. So thank you, everyone. That concludes the magic demonstration for today.
Thank you, Chuck. Great. So we've wrapped up the presentation portion of the training today, and now we can turn to Q&A. Leslie, if you could switch to the next slide, please. Great. So again, we're still taking questions in the Q&A function, and a lot of questions have already been answered, so please go ahead and check those out. Remember that anything not related to the reduction of waiting period, we will not be answering today, but you can reach out to us through our usual channels of contact, and a member of our team will get back to you. So I'd like to start by taking some of the questions that we marked that we would answer live. So the first question is, we always hire someone with a start date at the beginning of a pay period. Is this best practice recommendation from HRD changing? The answer to that is no, that best practice is not changing, except for anyone hired July 1st, 2024. The reason for this is that the first day of that pay period is June 30th, that's Sunday, June 30th. And anyone who is hired prior to the July 1 date will still be subject to the 60-day minimum waiting period. So for folks that are starting with the Commonwealth, their first day of work will be July 1st. We need the effective date to be July 1st of 2024. Otherwise, if you use the June 30th date, they will still be subject to the 60-day minimum waiting period. So just for this July 1st, use July 1st rather than June 30th. Anything after this July 1st date, you can continue to do the best practice, which is starting on the pay period start date. Great. So next question. For billing, if they do not complete their enrollment until day 20, for example, will the entire amount due for missed deductions and the regular scheduled biweekly premium deduction amount be taken from their paycheck, or will they be billed for the missed deductions and follow the regular scheduled payroll deductions from the first paycheck after enrollment? Paul, can I kick that one over to you?
Sure. The member will not have a deduction for any missed premiums. GIC has to issue the bill. The regular scheduled deductions coming out of the paycheck to pay for the monthly premium continue. So for instance, if someone took the whole month of July, they hired on the 2nd, they had till the 21st to elect benefits. They've missed the 2 July cycles that pay for the August premium. GIC at the beginning of August will issue a bill for those missed premiums. Deductions in August will start from the employee's paycheck for the regular monthly deductions, which pay for September. So we don't take any missed deductions from people's paychecks. We bill them directly.
Thanks, Paul. Next question. Is there a time frame necessary to pre-enter new hires? Is a week sufficient? Really, all we ask is that the employee information is entered into HR CMS on or before the date of hire. And again, that is just so that on the date, the effective date of hire, HR CMS will essentially communicate with the GIC's magic system and trigger an email to be sent out to that employee within 48 hours. Paul, is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think it's fine.
Great.
On the effective date of hire, we get it. And every night thereafter, we get the new hires nightly from HRCMS.
Great. Thank you. Let's see. Another question. How soon after an employee enrolls will they receive a notification a notification email / their bill? Paul?
Well, I was like, do you want me to take that one?
Yeah, sorry.
The bills for GIC are issued at the beginning of every month. So anyone that missed the deduction in July, they will get a bill at the beginning of August. Anyone who missed any deductions in August, the bill goes out in the beginning of September. I encourage everyone to look at that billing calendar that we've created under the Magic Help tab, which will help address some of these questions.
Thanks, Paul. When does the payment essentially shift from billing to deduction? Paul?
It'll shift from billing to deduction as soon as GIC enters the information in the Magic system or it is pushed from the portal to the Magic system. So once the person is enrolled, deductions will start on the member's next paycheck. And any premiums owed before that will be billed directly to the member. So once you see the coverage in Magic, the deduction will start on the next pay cycle.
Thank you. I think many of these are going to be for you, Paul. Will coordinators be able to view the bills sent to the member by logging into Magic?
No, the bills are not in the Magic system, and the coordinator has no access to the member's portal record. Only the member will be able to view their bills in the portal, and the members will continue to get a paper invoice at home. Coordinators can't view the actual bill, but the report that Chuck demonstrated, the acknowledgement insurance report that's in the Magic system, lists everybody in your agency. Anyone who is in the black or in the red will get a bill or a refund. So that's a useful report that comes out the beginning of every single month, and it will show you the people that are going to get a premium refund or a billing that is owed. So you could use that and inform people that a bill will be issued if they are on that report.
Thank you. Along the lines of that question, can coordinators generate or receive a report of pending terminations to follow up with those employees directly?
We don't have that available at this time. With the implementation of the RWP, we're going to take some of these suggestions into consideration to see what we can do. But we encourage people to use that existing monthly report to at least notify people that they can expect a bill. So the first one that will go out for this implementation will be August 1st. You'll see the people that have missed premiums for August. So we encourage you to use that report to let people that at least get a bill. And we will email the notice to the employee that they have an important message in the portal. A lot of people are asking us, why can't the email to the member be more specific, that they have an invoice or a bill? The reason is that for privacy reasons, the message is very generic. GIC is going to start using that email for other notifications, such as billing, terminations, people who do not have beneficiary information, people who are missing Social Security numbers on their dependents, people that have gotten promoted from a union to a management position. So we are going to eventually notify employee on certain impacts to their benefits, but we want to keep the message generic for privacy reasons, that we're not sending out, hey, you're missing your beneficiary in an email to somebody. So that's why the message is very generic about telling them to log into the portal.
Thank you, Paul. I'm getting some kind of repeat questions, but I think that it's worth repeating the answers. So will employers be notified if the employee is being terminated from their GIC insurance?
There's no pending termination report. The employer does get a copy of the termination notice when the employee is terminated.
Thank you. Will bills be received both through the portal email and paper bill through mail? So I can actually answer this one and give you a break, Paul. Bills will be received, as Paul mentioned. There will be an email notification alerting the member that they have an important message in the portal. They can go into the portal, and that important message will tell them that they have a bill, and then they can pay that bill. But they will also receive two invoices, paper invoices via mail. The next question, how long should it take for members to receive their insurance card or member information? I think Paul or Donna?
I can take that if you want. One of the reasons we have put in the change, as we said earlier, we're changing the frequency of how we notify our vendors of enrollments. So all of the health plans will receive biweekly files from GIC of all new hires. So instead of once a week, we're going to send the files twice a week. We have put into our contracts that the health plan should immediately issue ID cards to those members. So we're speeding up the frequency of the ID cards. That is the reason we're also going to be sending out the welcome email. So if the member is getting a welcome email from the health plan, as well as their other benefits, life, LTD, etc., they will expect an ID card to be sent within 7 to 10 days. So that is the requirement we've put in the contract. So we're hoping that the file frequency change will increase members getting their cards quicker than what they have today.
Thanks, Paul. Can you speak generally to circumstances for rehires and transfers? I know that there have been a few questions about this, and we're really specifically talking about newly hired employees. So, Paul, could you talk about what will or will not change for rehires and transfers?
I can give you a very high-level overview. There are many different situations with rehires and transfers for employees. So in general, if an employee is transferring, say, from the governor's office to GIC, if the member already has GIC benefits, they will continue to get those benefits, but they'll just transfer to their new agency. Members do not have the opportunity to enroll in benefits as a new hire when they transfer. One thing to keep in mind is that deductions are paid a month in advance. So for instance, if I work for the governor's office now, and this is, May, I'm going to transfer to the GIC at the end of May. What happens with GIC is that you've already prepaid your deductions in the governor's office for your June premium. May pays for June. GIC will put you in the GIC agency effective July 1st. So keep in mind that the transfer isn't immediate for GIC benefits. We have to look at what the member has paid for the following month premiums, and we keep them in their prior agency until we can transfer them to their new agency. So that's an important piece. That's why they're not new hires. They're just transferring the benefits and they've prepaid for a month. That's why it doesn't show up on GIC records till sometime after they transfer because of that prepayment. On the rehires, it works very different in HRCMS. We're working on the transactions we get from HRCMS to help update our interface files so that we can create the magic shells in Magic. A lot of agencies have said there's no shell created for this person, etc. We have some stipulations in there in our Magic system that if somebody is terminated, we don't automatically create a shell. We keep the prior history. We have to review that information before a shell is created in Magic. For instance, many people were terminated for non-payment of premium, and they transfer to an agency. That transfer doesn't allow them to enroll in benefits. If they've been terminated in their previous agency for non-payment of premiums, they will not be able to enroll in GIC benefits in their new agency. So we have to look at some of the conditions coming in from the interface. I will tell you that if a person is a dependent covered under another state employee with GIC benefits, we are going to start creating the shells in Magic for that dependent. So that in the past, we used to not create them because they were covered under another person's benefit. We're going to start creating the shells in Magic for dependents when they are eligible for GIC benefits. On the rehire, we are going to look at the conditions of the rehire coming over to GIC. If it's an old historical record in our system, we are going to allow the rehire information to overlay the Magic data and update it and send a registration email to the member. But we have to look at the dates, effective dates, and transfers before we can do that. But we're making changes on our interface, and most of these changes are going in on June 7th for the RWP implementation. So we're hoping to look at some of these situations and create these shells in Magic and send out the registration when necessary.
Thanks, Paul. Next question. For the GIC insured report, the amount due in red parentheses is what is owed. Are we supposed to reach out to employees to let them know?
You can reach out to employees. We encourage it in particular that let the people know they're going to get a bill. But the member will continue to get the email and a paper invoice. So if you don't use the invoice, if you don't use the report to notify the employee, they're still going to get the email and the paper invoice. But we just want to bring this to your attention as a useful tool to let people know a bill is coming.
Great. Will members be able to pay a partial amount online? So let's say they get their first invoice, they pay part of it. Will they be able to pay part of it and then pay the remaining for the second issued invoice? Or do they have to pay all together?
Yes, they can do that. We don't encourage people to make partial payments. And the reason is if they miss that second due date on their second notice, a termination notice is generated. So we encourage people to pay their premium in full when they receive their first notice. If they don't, the second notice will be issued. But if that's not paid by that due date, then we're going to issue a termination notice.
And relatedly, is there a reinstatement window if they pay in full after the termination of coverage?
There's no reinstatement window if they pay after the termination of coverage. The termination notice that is issued to the member says, do not submit payment at this time. You are terminated. Any payment submitted when that termination notice will sit there and the payment will be automatically refunded to the employee after 60 days. So it instructs the member, do not remit payment with this termination notice because that does not generate a reinstatement.
And just to be clear, the next opportunity that employee who has been terminated from GIC coverage, the next opportunity they would have to re-enroll would be during the next annual enrollment or if they experience a qualifying event, correct?
Correct.
Great. So just wanted to kind of put a fine point on that. Let's say a member who is going to be hired July 1 is terminated for non-payment. They will not be able to re-enroll until April of 2025 when we have our next annual enrollment session, or if they experience a qualifying event such as marriage, birth of a child, etc.
Yes, and when they apply next April 2025, the benefits will be effective July 1st, 2025.
Great. Thank you, Paul. Let's see. Paul indicated employees promoted to management positions may receive emails. Is this only if the position change results in a change in benefits eligibility?
Not clear on what you're asking there. If a member is promoted from a bargaining unit to a management position and they are eligible for GIC dental vision, there's going to be a notification in the portal for that member that they can enroll in GIC's benefits. But I caution, the reason I hesitate on that is there are many entities such as higher education, the universities, the colleges that are not part of the GIC's dental vision plan. That's a very limited plan. It's only available to members that are not covered by collective bargaining. Everyone else gets their benefits through the union. We do receive a lot of inquiries in the portal from members saying, hey, I don't see my dental vision benefits here. The reason is they have their benefits through the union. Since GIC doesn't do the union benefit, it's not in the portal for members. But yes, if a member is promoted, we're putting a notification in the portal that they are now eligible for dental vision.
Great, thank you, Paul. So we have a question specific to rules for DCR long-term seasonal employees and whether the rules will be different for them. My kind of quick answer to this, and Paul, please jump in, is that it really is dependent upon what their eligibility is, whether or not these folks are even eligible for GIC benefits. But Paul, if you wanted to say a little bit more there, if you had anything to add.
Long-term seasonals are eligible for GIC benefits as long as their employment is greater than 90 days. So there is no change, same rules apply as everybody else eligible for GIC benefits. If it's a short-term appointment less than 90 days, they are not eligible for GIC benefits. But if they're over the 90 days, then they are eligible for GIC benefits, but it's the same rule, same waiting period, same new RWP, etc.
Great, thank you, Paul. Let's see. So best practice is to hire someone in the system after payroll runs. The hire date will still be the Sunday date, or in this case, July 1st. If new hires have 21 days to register and the GIC system takes 24 to 48 hours to upload the new hires information, is it necessary to enter someone on or before July 1st? The answer is yes. The GIC system does take 24 to 48 hours to generate that initial registration email, but the conversation, if you will, between HRCMS and the GIC systems happens on that effective date of hire. So HRCMS talks to our systems at GIC and says, we have a new hire, and that's when that email is triggered. The email from GIC, once the information is received, that's when it takes 48 hours, but we need that information in the HRCMS system so that it can be transmitted to the GIC. Paul, anything to add to that?
No, that's good.
Great. Back to terminations. Does the GIC still have a one-time opportunity to make payments if they were terminated for non-payment? This has been granted in the past. I know the answer to this, but I'll let Paul hammer this one home.
GIC does allow in certain instances, after we review the case, a reinstatement for members that terminate for non-payment of premium. The member has to be reinstated within 75 days of the termination date, and they owe all back premiums and future premiums. But it's not automatic for every member who terminates for non-payment of premium. So I will tell you that there is some reinstatement rules that GIC looks at when somebody contacts us, but it's not for everybody. And that it will notify the employee if they're eligible for reinstatement, or they have to wait until the next annual enrollment or qualifying event.
Great. Going back to short-term contractors, if short-term contractors are transferred to long-term seasonals, what if short-term contractors are transferred to long-term seasonals? How will they be notified of GIC eligibility if they are both hired in HRCMS?
It depends on the hiring information and the action reason code that is used in the payroll system. GIC has an interface to the HRCMS payroll system for deductions, as well as a maintenance interface that gives us all the personnel actions every Friday night and a nightly new hire. So depending on the action reason that comes over for that hire will determine if the person is eligible for benefits.
Great. I have one more question showing up here. This coordinator has had employees saying they've been terminated without notification and that deductions were being taken and then stopped. Is there an explanation for this if the employee never had a break in service? So my answer to this is that employees always get a notification. But Paul, if you wanted to speak to that.
Members always get a notification. They get a first notice, a second notice, and a termination notice. What we encourage people to do is we look at the address on the bill. If the address is incorrect, for whatever reason, and we find that in the payroll system, the member has a different address and GIC was not notified, we can allow reinstatement. But in most cases, if you get a first notice, a second notice, and a termination notice, and you're saying that you were never notified, we look at that, and chances are that we're not going to allow reinstatement.
Great, thank you, Paul. So I don't see any more questions in the Q&A queue. Leslie, could you move to the next slide, please? Great. So I see we do have a follow-up question. Oh, and we're getting a few more in. So we're going to leave this slide up here, just a little bit about the My GIC link portal for you all to look at while we take the remainder of these questions. Let's see. Okay. If a new hire enrolls and has a bill due, payroll deductions have also already started and they do not pay the original bill, benefits are terminated. When is the termination effective and what happens to the contributions already made via payroll deduction?
Okay.
It's a good question.
Yeah, no, they're all good.
Yeah.
What happens is when GIC runs the termination process every single month, we run the terminations for non-payment. Anyone that's over the 60-day window gets a termination notice. GIC will calculate the termination date based on what has been paid, if any payments have come in, partial payments, as well as any deductions that have taken place. So I'll give you an example. If someone got a bill in August for the July premium, they didn't pay it. In August, deductions start for September. In September, deductions start for October. When that member doesn't pay that first initial billing 60 days from August 1st, a termination is going to be generated. What GIC will do is take all payments and all payroll deductions that have taken place and back up and credit the employee to the premiums owed. So we will take those August deductions and the September deductions and credit that bill that was issued and not paid. We then determine and recalculate a new termination date based on those payments and payroll deductions. So in most instances, those payroll deductions will be used to pay that outstanding invoice. And we look at every single premium that comes in and what is owed each month. If we can pay that prior balance with payroll deductions, we will pay the prior balance. If we can't pay the prior balance because there's not enough payroll deduction or payment from the member, then we will determine a new paid through date for their premiums. Termination notice will be issued, and any overpayments that couldn't pay the entire month's premium are refunded back to the employee.
Thanks, Paul. Okay, I don't have any more questions here in the Q&A function. If you do have any follow-up questions that didn't get answered today, please feel free to reach out to us and let us know. Leslie, could you switch to the next slide, please? I think that has a bit of our contact information. Great. So you can see here where you can reach us on our website, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You can also get us through our usual channels via phone or email. And as we mentioned earlier, we will be sending out the recording of this training session along with the slides, and we'll also be compiling kind of the frequently asked questions that you all had during this presentation, and we'll be putting them into a format so they're easily accessible. So we'll be sending all of that out. And we thank you for your time and attention, and please be on the lookout for reminder emails and additional information from us as we approach the July 1st implementation date. So thank you all. We appreciate your time and we look forward to rolling this out smoothly.